tell them better already know. Money over bitches, better know how it goes. Streets don't love nobody, it's real cold. Many niggas tell on you to get let go. Better know any given time it can get out of control. Better know if you ain't right, you gon' get left, you better know. If you ain't representing the mob, then you can't go. Better know we gon' secure that bag. Better know I'm gon' humbly show my ass. Better know I know you ain't seeing y'all real class. Better know I stay on my shit every day like a tax. Better know you a bad bitch, you a nigga in the street. Better know what come with it. Better know I sacrifice for this shit. Better know I put some ice on this shit. Wanna know what you know, never let go. Put your feet up on the gas and put that bitch to the floor. Better know we ain't use the front door. Better know we came through the window. Got a whole lot, remember it was zero. Blizzard and snow, 20s on the door. Double up to a brick before it almost soaked. Shout out to all of us, he's really showed us the ropes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You better know. You better know, you better know, you better know, you better know. Better know we gon' secure that bag. Better know I'm gon' humbly show my ass. Better know I know you ain't seeing y'all look past. Better know I stay on my shit every day like a tax. Better know you a bad bitch, you a nigga in the street. Better know what come with it. Better know I sacrifice for this shit. Better know I put some ice on this shit. Whoa.
27 years. For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. We are here today to announce the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis, aka Keefy D, for the murder of Tupac Shakur.
On September 29th, 2023, Dwayne Keith Davis, alias Keefy D, was taken into custody by Las Vegas Metropolitan Police in connection with the murder of arguably the most influential rapper in hip-hop's history. For most, Tupac's murder is shrouded in mystery. However, for those who closely follow news in the hip-hop world, Keefy D's involvement in the rapper's death was an open secret, with the motive behind the hit being caught on camera. So, who is Keefy D? What was his role in Tupac's death? And why did it take 27 years for the former gangster to finally end up in handcuffs? Tupac's killer arrested.
I wish that my son was here and that he could go and lie down in my bed and come out of my room and say, "Mom, what'd you cook?" I miss his being. He was my son, and I miss him as my baby, my boy, who I loved, respected.
This was Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mom, almost brought to tears by the death of her son. She would have loved to get closure regarding her son's tragic death. However, Mrs. Afeni Shakur passed away on May 2nd, 2016, after going into cardiac arrest at her home at the age of 69. And as we will see, only 2 years after her death, the case regarding her son's death would be opened again, leading to an arrest. While Tupac's mom waited for the cops to get justice for her slain son for 20 years, the rapper's fans had to wait for 27 years. Well, the wait is finally over. After 27 excruciating years, one of the men believed to have had a hand in the murder of Tupac was arrested.
Las Vegas Metro Police took Dwayne Keefy D. Davis into custody Friday. He's being held on charges related to the 1996 murder of rapper Tupac Shakur.
Earlier in July, cops raided Keefy D's home in Henderson, Nevada. An affidavit filed to obtain the warrant states that police were looking for notes, writings, ledgers, and other handwritten or typed documents concerning television shows, documentaries, YouTube episodes, book manuscripts, and movies concerning the murder of Tupac Shakur. Apart from the electronics, investigators left the former gangster's home with USB and hard drives, photographs, a copy of Vibe magazine featuring Tupac, and a copy of the Compton Street Legends book, co-authored by Keefy D and Yusuf Jah. According to the warrant, investigators were generally searching for items that would provide evidence of motive or even reveal the identity of Tupac's killer. So what?
I'm a therapist who goes to therapy, and some people think that's strange. The thing is, though, therapists are human beings just like you.
What exactly gave Keefe D away? How was he able to evade the cops for 27 years? And will he finally be put behind bars for Tupac's murder? As it turns out, somewhere along the way, Keefe D felt emboldened to shout from the rooftops what happened the night Tupac died. It all started in 2008 when Keefe D was arrested in a PCP ring case. According to reports, the feds had been gathering evidence on the drug ring that Keefe D ran and had enough intel to put him away for 25 years. As cops normally do, they enticed Keefe D to tell them what happened the night Tupac was shot dead.
And we put an ironclad case against him, approach him, and say, here's the deal, Keefe D. We have questions about these murders. If you don't cooperate, you're going to prison for the rest of your life, and so are several members of your family who are caught up in your drug organization.
Well, everyone who was involved had long died, including the shooter. And with the extra motivation on the table, you best believe Keefe D sang like a bird for 3 straight hours.
He confesses to his involvement in the murder of Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas in 1996. He tells us that his nephew, Orlando Anderson, was in the same car with him, which was the white Cadillac.
After truth-telling on his nephew, the drug case against Keefe D was dropped, and he walked away a free man. For many people, this would have been a second chance at life, a chance to start over again. However, a few years later, in 2011, ex-cop Greg Kading published the book Murder Rap, which highlighted Keefe D's confession in detail. Greg Kading is an author and former Los Angeles Police Department detective. He is best known for working on a multi-law enforcement task force that investigated the murders of Tupac and Biggie Smalls. Apart from that, he was instrumental in getting Keefe D to spill the beans on Tupac's murder. Greg Kading's book sent shockwaves across the hip-hop world as it implicated some of the industry's biggest names. The most notable name in the book, as we will see later, was none other Sean Combs, alias P. Diddy. With the book and subsequently Keefe D's story gripping audiences across the nation and the world, the ex-gangster became envious. In his mind, this was his story. He deserved a piece of the pie for having let the world know.
Yeah, I'm glad I just saw that because I would have had to erase the whole video. I just saw it pop on the screen. My mic was muted, but he said it in so many interviews too. Like, man, people, Keefe D, so many people making money. He want to look at that. All money ain't good money. You saw people make money talking about that Tupac stuff, and you come out.
Or what happened to their beloved artist. To add salt to injury, in 2015, 4 years after the book was published, it spun off a documentary. He must have felt jealous that people were making money from what he considered his story. While he got his name soiled and his reputation destroyed for breaking the street code and cooperating with the feds, the cops were making bank. According to Greg Kading, Keefe D resented the fact that someone else other than him was telling the world the story.
But if you understand the ego of Keefe D, he resented that somebody else was telling the story other than him.
Well, Keefe D decided to do the unthinkable. He decided to publicly start truth-telling, and this was the beginning of the end for him. He appeared on multiple podcasts where he openly gave the horrific details that led to the death of Tupac. According to Greg Kading, his desire to own the story and tell it himself led him to publicly speak about what happened in 1996.
But if you understand the ego of Keefe D, he resented that somebody else was telling the story other than him. And so that whole thing prompted him to then go out publicly boast about his involvement.
Keefe D appeared on any podcast or show that would have him, and he would repeat his whole routine of exposing the tragic events that led to Tupac's death. So why would he do this without a care in the world? What gave Keefe D the false sense of bravado? Well, as it turns out, that apart from having an ego, there were other factors that led him to snitch on himself. Popular YouTuber DJ Vlad revealed in a recent interview that one of the reasons Keefe D agreed to appear on Vlad TV, a channel with over 5 million subscribers, and share the story, was that he thought that he had immunity from prosecution from the proffer agreement that he made with feds in 2008.
Well, I think that he believed that he had a level of immunity.
That was so. He should have checked first. You should have did your homework just to make sure. You should have did your research, did your homework, make sure you just thought you just had immunity. You played yourself. You played yourself. You played yourself, OG. Kick yourself in the ass.
When he did the proffer agreement.
It is important to note that a proffer agreement is an agreement between the feds and a defendant that ensures government attorneys will not use any statements the defendant makes during an off-the-record interview against them in later proceedings. Keefe D should have spoken to his attorney before heading to interviews thinking that he had immunity, while Keefe D's
exactly. You should have talked. Of course, who not going? You wasn't thinking. You just wanted some money. He wanted some money. He ain't having that money how he used to be having that money. You know what I'm saying? He used to be getting, you know, they say he was a big drug lord or whatever, you know, having that money back then. He wanted some money, and that's all he was thinking about, some money, man. You should have cleared it with your lawyer, and you could have did it the right way, where you could have still talked about the story and kept brought it out, but not incriminate yourself, and still got a bag. You just was thirsty. Played yourself. Now your ass locked up. Silly as hell.
Can't be used against him. What he did not know was that anything he said outside the interview room was fair game and would be used to prosecute him. In an interview, Greg Kading spoke about the proffer agreement between Keefe D and the feds, saying, "The proffer agreement simply said that when you sit down and talk to us, whatever you say that is self-incriminating, we won't use against you. But when he leaves that room, that agreement doesn't apply to everything else in his life," as he erroneously believed. So he began to go out and boast about his involvement in the murder. None of that's protected under the agreement. He has essentially talked himself right into jail. Apart from that, DJ Vlad disclosed that another reason that gave Keefe D the false sense of confidence was that he had been diagnosed with cancer, and he knew that he did not have long to live.
I think at the time he was saying that he had cancer, so maybe he didn't think he had much time to live. So he was just kind of letting it loose at that point.
So confident was Keefe D that in 2019, he published his memoir titled Compton Street Legend, where he provided more details to claims he had previously told the feds. What the ex-gangster overlooked is that the feds are always watching podcasts, waiting for criminals such as himself to incriminate themselves.
But it wasn't until 2018 that this case was reinvigorated as additional information came to light related to this homicide. Specifically, Dwayne Davis's own admissions to his involvement in this homicide investigation that he provided to numerous different media outlets.
Another question you may be asking is whether or not Keefe D will actually end up in jail. Remember, in his confession to the feds in 2008, as well as his admissions and interviews, all point to his nephew as the gunman. Well, aiding and abetting in Nevada is when you act as an accomplice in a crime, and knowingly aiding and abetting makes you liable for the crimes you help commit, and you face the same penalties that the principals do. In this case, the shooter could have been charged with murder. Upon Keefe D's arrest, he was charged.
Yeah, he's in jail. Let's see.
Charged with one count of murder with a deadly weapon and with the intent to promote, further, or assist a criminal gang. Mind you, at the time of Tupac's death, Keefe D was the leader of the Southside Compton Crips gang. The ex-gangster knew that his goose was cooked and that it was only a matter of time before he was arrested. This is evident from his conversation with a cop during his arrest. In his words, he's involved in the biggest case in Las Vegas history and drops the exact date of Tupac's murder.
So what they got you for, man? Oh yeah? Like recent?
Everyone agrees that it's time that Keefe D answers for his sins. In fact, many would want to see him live out the rest of his days locked up. In his book, he shows no remorse for his actions, as he writes. "I stand firm on the point that Tupac, Suge Knight, and the rest of those niggas didn't have any business putting their hands on my beloved nephew, Baby Lane. Period. Them jumping on my nephew gave us the ultimate green light to do something to their ass. Tupac chose the wrong game to play and the wrong niggas to play with. Suge and them should have done a better job of protecting that dude because they knew who the fuck we were and the kind of shit we were capable of. Tupac may not have known, but Suge and his peeps definitely knew. Tupac was a guppy that got swallowed up by some ferocious sharks. He shouldn't have ever got involved in that bullshit of trying to be a thug." As he appears before court, the hip-hop world can only hope that justice is served once and for all. Deadly feud. With the whole world now focused on Keefe D, one may ask, who exactly is this man? Since he is not in the music business, he is mostly unknown to many hip-hop enthusiasts, especially the younger generation. Keefe D was born on June 14, 1963, and was an intriguing figure in the crime world with ties to the California-based gang, the Southside Compton Crips. His life story is a mosaic of experiences that span gang affiliations, personal losses, and a significant time.
When I was accepted to SGU, that was one of the greatest days of my life.
The faculty at SGU really have helped
time spent behind bars. Coming from a family of 6 brothers and 6 sisters, Keefe D's upbringing was shaped by a backdrop of gang culture. His mother died from colon cancer in 1980 when he was only 15. In his 2018 memoir, Keefe D revealed that in 2014, he got the same cancer that killed his mother, which may have emboldened him to come clean on his role in Tupac's death. Fortunately, or unfortunately, he is now in remission, which means that if found guilty, he may live out the rest of his life in jail. Apart from losing his mom to cancer, Keefe D also lost 2 of his brothers, one from cancer and the other was shot in the streets of Compton. The tragic loss of one of his older brothers to a fatal shooting incident cast a shadow on his life journey. His life took a tumultuous turn as he found himself entangled in the world of crime. This path led him to spend over a decade within the walls of both state and federal prisons. His involvement in a range of criminal activities, notably the act of emptying 2 clips into the residence of a rival gang member, reflects the intense conflicts and rivalries that characterized his surroundings. His life in crime started way back in 1971 when he started getting involved with the Crips. As it turns out, it was due to peer pressure, as that was what all the boys in the neighborhood were doing. Later, he got a job working in Compton College. However, the money was not coming as fast as he had hoped, and that's when he turned to selling drugs, which turned out to be what he had expected money-wise. Eventually, the law would catch up to him, and he went to prison for dealing from 1985 to 1989. However, according to him, the time in prison didn't rehabilitate him, but instead made him a hardened gangster. After getting out of jail, Keefe D was soon involved in the hip-hop industry with connections to iconic rapper Eazy-E and former drug kingpin Harry O, showing how powerful he became in the rap industry. Harry O is among the co-founders of Death Row Records, the record label that launched the careers of rap legends Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Tupac Shakur. He had been behind bars since 1988 for attempted murder and kidnapping until former President Donald Trump came to his rescue and cut his sentence 7 years short in 2021. Harry O was not the only Death Row co-founder that Keefe D had ties to. As he has revealed multiple times, Keefe D and the infamous Suge Knight grew up together and, as we will see, would end up resenting each other. According to Keefe D, he first met Death Row Records co-founder when he was 9 years old. As it turns out, their relationship dates back to their younger years when they played Pop Warner football together. Keefe D's role as a running back complemented Suge Knight's position as center, providing a glimpse into their earlier friendship and shared experiences. However, this would turn sour when Keefe D met Sean Love Combs, alias P. Diddy, and formerly known as Puff Daddy. The origins of their relationship trace back to a moment when Keefe D lent a lowrider to Usher for one of his music videos. The lowrider, loaned by Keefe D and his associates, bore the brunt of the Usher's dance performance. Luckily, Diddy took responsibility and personally funded the repair of the vehicle and later sparked off a friendship with Keefe D. At the time, Diddy had founded Bad Boy Records, which was in competition with Death Row Records. However, before drama between the two labels started, P. Diddy and Suge Knight were actually friends. In an interview, Diddy revealed that the Death Row boss would even pick him up from the airport.
Because homeboy, me and him were friends.
Wow.
In a sense. Yeah. He would pick me up from the airport.
Diddy would soon learn that the two music executives were not friends in 1995 during the Second Source Awards when Suge dissed him. To give some context regarding the infamous night, it is important to remember that this was a pretty huge deal in the hip-hop industry, as Source was among the most, if not the most famous, hip-hop magazine at the time. Therefore, the who's who in rap attended. From Nas to Wu-Tang, the hip-hop community had gathered for the award show at Madison Square Garden's Paramount Theater. However, there was one major absentee, Tupac. At the time, he was serving time for a sexual abuse case against him. On November 30th, 1994, while in New York recording music, Tupac was robbed and shot. He alleged that he had been set up by people connected to Diddy's label, which would lead to the feud between Bad Boy and Death Row. The beef escalated the night of the awards when the Death Row co-founder took to stage to accept an award and gave a speech that would ultimately lead to some of the worst events in hip-hop history.
Any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
That was a direct shot at P. Diddy, who had a habit of appearing in his artists' videos and music. Tensions were high that night. However, P. Diddy took the stage, and instead of clapping back at Death Row, he extended an olive branch.
I'm the executive producer that a comment was made about a little bit earlier. But check this out. Contrary to what other people may feel, I would like to say that I'm very proud of Dr. Dre, of Death Row, and Suge Knight for their accomplishment.
It seems Diddy wanted peace, or maybe that is what he wanted them to think. Events that took place over the next 2 years saw the deaths of hip-hop's finest rappers, Tupac and Biggie, as Diddy and Keefe D found themselves at the center of it all. Things did not get any better after Tupac came back from jail and released arguably the most brutal diss track in hip-hop, Hit 'Em Up. Apart from that, on September 24th, 1995, the night Suge slapped Diddy at a party in Atlanta at the Platinum House nightclub. Although Diddy wanted to get back at Death Row, he was afraid of Suge Knight. So he turned to the one man who he knew was not afraid of his nemesis, the leader of the Southside Compton Crips. With Keefe D's backing, Diddy started toying with the idea of killing the Death Row CEO. By Keefe D's account, Zip, Combs, and himself discussed the hit on Shakur once at a concert in Anaheim and a couple of times at Greenblatt's Deli on the Sunset Strip. He took me downstairs and he's like, man, I want to get rid of them dudes, man. I was like, we'll wipe their ass out quick, man. It's nothing. Keefe D revealed to the feds. At first, Diddy only wanted Suge dead. However, as Keefe D revealed revealed to the feds, after Tupac made the brutal diss track aimed at Bad Boy Records, he was added to the kill list. When Combs asked about Shakur and Knight, would he always say both of them? A detective can be heard asking Keefe D during the interrogation. He added the boy Shakur on after he made a record, the ex-gangster replied. Before that, it was just Suge Knight, and then after Hit 'Em Up came out, the detective asked, and Keefe D replied saying, yeah, that pissed Combs off. The first physical confrontation between the two camps came in March 19.
You think they ain't investigating this shit right now? Keefe D locked up. You think they ain't investigating this shit? You think they already got all this information? You see this? They ain't saying none about it in them. They probably saying something about it, but he got so much money, he probably keeping it out the media. He probably keeping this part out the media.
1996, when a scuffle broke out at the Soul Train Music Awards in Los Angeles after Notorious Bodyguard brandished a weapon in front of an armed member of Shakur's entourage backstage at the Shrine Auditorium. Although no one was harmed, a few months later, the first casualty of the beef would be recorded. In August that same year, a handful of Southside Crips beat and robbed one of Shakur's Mob Piru Blood's bodyguards at a mall in Lakewood. The assailants snatched a diamond-studded death row medallion from the victim's neck. The next confrontation between the two groups would prove deadly and would involve two childhood friends, Keefe D and Suge Knight. The Southside Crips had a regular tradition of going to Las Vegas to watch Mike Tyson fight. On September 7th, 1996, they found their way to Nevada to watch Mike Tyson fight Bruce Seldon. After the fight, Keefe D and the Crips planned to meet in the cafe at the MGM Grand, but Orlando Anderson, alias Baby Lane, his nephew, didn't show up. Then some 118 East Coast Crips came and told us that they saw some death row jump on my nephew down by the casino, he told cops. Surveillance footage shows death row affiliates surrounding and beating up Baby Lane. After hearing that his nephew had been jumped, Keefe D revealed that the beef had become personal and decided to retaliate immediately. After Tupac, Suge, and them death row was jumped on my nephew Baby Lane, the shit became ominously personal, Keefe D wrote in his book. Keefe D, together with 3 others, decided to go to Club 662 for a death row after party where Tupac was supposed to perform. The 3 others included Terrence Brown, alias T Brown, DeAndre Smith, alias Dre, and Baby Lane. T Brown was the driver that night while Keefe D sat next to him. Behind his uncle was Baby Lane. Behind the driver sat Dre. He wrote that he first planned to confront Knight, whom he had long known. But after Tupac and Knight didn't show up for
what the science is showing us is the universe appears to be alive. It appears to be conscious.
Near-death experiences are some of the strongest evidence we have that there is life after death.
Peer-reviewed research shows that human
for an hour and a half, Keefe D called his crew off. Lucky for them, they never showed up because it would have been like Al Capone's Valentine's Day massacre if they had, he wrote. On their way home, the group stopped to buy alcohol. Keefe D revealed that he put the Glock that he intended to use in the back of his car. They hopped back in the car and headed to their house. On the way, they saw Tupac with half of his body hanging out of a BMW, waved to fans who were calling his name. They turned their Cadillac around and followed the BMW, stopping right next to them at a traffic light. The occupants in both cars looked at each other for a split second. Tupac then started to reach for his gun, and according to Keefe D, that's when the fireworks started. The shooter, seated at the back of the Cadillac, rolled down the window and rapidly fired gunshots at Tupac's BMW. One of my guys from the back seat grabbed the Glock and started busting back, he wrote in his memoir. The rapper was hit 4 times, twice in the chest, once in the arm, once in the thigh. One of the bullets went into Shakur's right lung. Knight was hit in the head by fragmentation. They then drove off and even saw the 2 ambulances carrying Tupac and Knight. The group ditched their Cadillac and then popped bottles and partied like it was any other night. At the hospital, Shakur was heavily sedated, was placed on life support machines, and was ultimately put under a medically induced coma after repeatedly trying to get out of bed. While in the critical care unit on the afternoon of Friday, September 13th, 1996, Shakur died of respiratory failure that led to cardiac arrest after the removal of his right lung. Everyone who was at the crime scene refused to cooperate with the cops, meaning they had little to no lead. As it turns out, Death Row wanted to retaliate the old school way. The following year, Christopher George Latore Wallace, alias Biggie Smalls, was shot and killed outside the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles after a Soul Train Music Awards party. It is believed that Suge Knight ordered the hit. Hip Hop World reacts. Keefe D's arrest has sparked conversations as celebrities continue to chime into the story. One of the most notable voices is that of the man who was with Tupac the day he was shot, Suge Knight. Given that he saw the occupants in the white Cadillac, yet he refused to cooperate with the cops, many people were skeptical and even thought that he may have had a hand in Tupac's death. This rumor started after news spread that Pac was about to leave Death Row Records. His album titled Don Columinati, The 7-Day Theory, was the last album he had to do for Death Row Records. After this, he allegedly planned to work on his new record company called Machiavelli Records. With Pac gone, Death Row Records wasn't going to make any money off of him. So if they killed him, everything related to him would get them a whole lot of cash, and they would now have all of his unreleased songs that they would release under their label on soundtracks, compilation albums, and possibly even new albums. This rumor was further fueled when Gaddafi, who famously appeared on the diss track Hit 'Em Up, agreed to testify. The night Tupac was shot, Gaddafi was riding in the car behind Shakur's and witnessed the shooting. He initially refused to cooperate with police, but later said he could possibly identify the assailants. However, on November 10th, 1996, he was shot once in the head and died in Orange, New Jersey. Gaddafi's death seemed a little too convenient as people suspected foul play involving Death Row. To add salt to injury, another rumor started circulating claiming that Tupac was alive. Well, this rumor was started by none other than, you guessed it, Suge Knight. In 2014, while leaving a West Hollywood nightclub, a TMZ camera rolled up on the former Death Row Records kingpin and he spilled the beans. First, he clarified that he did not shoot the late rapper as many people suspected. Everybody knows off the top, I ain't the nigga killed Tupac. I'm the nigga protected Tupac, he said.
On the real, it's a dog. That shit is fucked up. Like it was like an artist for artist. Like, do y'all see the outcome of this shit? It ain't worth it. The artists lose. So don't go. Y'all need to cut the beef and shit out. Like, keep it on wax. Let's bring it back to rap. You know what I'm saying? Beef on rap, but like, you know what I'm saying? Or cut it out. Like, the artists are the only ones gonna lose, man. You see that? He wanted to get his artists out the way. So when he got his artists out the way, he knew that his artist was gonna be the man. And then he had to come back and be like, fuck that, we gotta get your artists out the way now because you got my artists out the way. Now, while both of the artists gone, the record labels are still making money. The artist, the only one that lose, the artist and the artist family. It's not worth it.
Ended his verbal tirade by saying, Tupac's not dead. You know he's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar. This was not the first time the Death Row co-founder said something that raised eyebrows regarding Tupac's death. In a 2017 documentary, he said, when I left that hospital, me and Pac was laughing and joking. So I don't see how somebody could turn from doing well to doing bad, which hinted at the rapper's condition being stable. The rumor that he had faked his death was supported by many theories. First, Tupac was a big fan of the great thinker Niccolo Machiavelli, who famously said, to fool one's enemies, fake one's death. In the book, the Prince Machiavelli discusses how a ruler can protect himself from enemies who are too powerful to confront directly. He suggests that a ruler could pretend to be dead, allowing his enemies to lower their guard and then strike back when the time is right. Is this what Tupac did? Well, the hip-hop legend's aunt is political activist and former Black Liberation Army member Assata Shakur, who is...
And guess what? Tupac probably did do that. They say that, but they don't know. So now I feel like, why y'all think Tupac can't come back? Because it ain't worth it. It ain't shit. This ain't nothing. He did it. He lived it and figured it something. He didn't want, man, if he did, he ain't came back because it ain't worth it. Think about it. Shit ain't worth it. For what?
Escaped prison and fled to Cuba after being convicted for the murder of a state trooper. She was granted political asylum in Cuba in 1984, where she has lived ever since. Well, rumor had it that after the shooting, Tupac, fearing his life under threats from rival gangs and growing tired of fame, faked his own death and went to live in Cuba. To top it all off, there's also the strange fact that the person who cremated Tupac's body retired afterward and hasn't been seen since. Well, with all this information, what was Suge Knight's reaction to Keefe D's arrest? He spoke to TMZ from a California prison, where he's serving a 28-year sentence for
violence. The thing is, it's a lot of content with Tupac overseas, like in Cuba with what's her Madonna. On the real, it's a lot of little content out here. Like, it's crazy.
Voluntary manslaughter. I'm surprised, for one, because I never thought Keefe D would get arrested. Whatever the circumstances, if he had an involvement in anything, if he didn't have any involvement in anything, I wouldn't wish somebody going to prison on my worst enemy, he said. He was then asked whether he would testify against him. Keep in mind that Keefe D revealed in his memoir that when the white Cadillac pulled up next to the BMW at the traffic light, he and his childhood friend locked eyes just before the shots were fired. As many people expected,
Drowning in tasks and deadlines, this AI assistant lifts the mental clutter so I can hyper-focus. Since using it,
the Death Row Records co-founder revealed that he would be testifying against Keefe D. 1,000%. I wouldn't testify. None of that shit, he told TMZ. This is perfectly understandable as he was currently in jail. If the inmates got wind that he was cooperating with the cops as a witness, his stay in jail would be very unpleasant. He would be attacked or even worse, killed, since ratting people out is unacceptable behavior in jail. What is shocking about the Death Row co-founder's reaction to the arrest is that he still denied that Baby Lane pulled the trigger. I never had nothing bad to say about Orlando because he wasn't the shooter, he said. Does he know something that we don't? Is he calling cap on Keefe D's version of events? Well, we may never know. On the other hand, Tupac's sister, Sakiwa Shakur, rejoiced at the news of the arrest after so many years. She took to Instagram with a brief message, adding that her family is seeking real justice on all fronts. This is no doubt a pivotal moment. The silence of the past 27 years surrounding this case has spoken loudly in our community. It's important to me that the world, the country, the justice system, and our people acknowledge the gravity of the passing of this man, my brother, my mother's son, my father's son. His life and death matters and should not go unsolved or unrecognized. So yes, today is a victory, but I will reserve judgment until all the facts and legal proceedings are complete. She then hinted at more arrests being made in the case, as she wrote, there have been multiple hands involved and there remains so much surrounding the life and death of my brother Tupac and our Shakur family overall. We are seeking real justice on all fronts. Also reacting to the development, Mopreme.
And y'all think so, okay.
Shakur, the rapper's older brother, called the arrest bittersweet for a number of reasons. While speaking to TMZ, he said, the time, of course, 27 years. It didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to happen at all. I hate to even have to live in the reality that my brother's not here. Justice is accountability. That's the sweet part and the bittersweet. And I'm bracing, because it ain't over. Jada Pinkett Smith, who has long publicly praised her childhood friendship and alleged romance with Tupac Shakur, also took to Instagram with her.
The thing is, she know.
Reaction. Now I hope we can get some.
She knows. She just can't say nothing. But she know.
Answers and have some closure. Rest in peace, Pac, she posted on her IG story. Apart from his family, close associates, and former lovers, fellow rappers weighed in on the situation. Rapper Ice-T could not bring himself to understand why it had taken so long to arrest Keefe D, yet he snitched on himself very many times. While on an interview, Ice-T said, I think the cops knew exactly how this thing played out. I just don't really understand why it took law enforcement so long, because if I say that I'm in a car with somebody that does something, I'm part of the crime. If I go over to your house and ask you for a gun and you give it to me and I go do it, you aided and abetted the crime. He also could not understand why Keefe D was snitching on himself if he didn't want to get caught. So my point is that with all the interviews and all the books where dude just happened to say it 100 times on interviews he did, why would you say that if you didn't want to get caught? So, I got no love for the dude. It was a chain of events that should not have ever happened. It's all out of my realm of understanding, the rapper said. 50 Cent also chimed in with a dig aimed at P. Diddy through an Instagram post where he told Diddy to lawyer up. Damn, so Pac got lined by Brother Love. LOL, time to lawyer up. It might get sticky, 50 Cent posted. There have been numerous reports, including from Keefe D, claiming that Diddy offered $1 million for his two nemesis to get killed. However, Keefe D revealed that he never got his cut of the money. In fact, he also claims that Diddy ghosted him after that, seemingly trying to cut off all loose ends. It has been a long time coming, and it looks like justice will finally be served. With Keefe D behind bars, the world can rest knowing Tupac received justice.
HoneyBook is a complete client flow management platform, which allows me to do everything all in one place. When I quit my 9-to-5 job to work for myself,
depending on who you talk to, Tupac was considered himself Mob Piru himself. He had mob tattooed on his arm. certain people considered him part of the mob. Other people considered him, you know, he was just cool with everybody. But because the murder happened on their watch, that made Mob Piru look soft if they didn't retaliate.
If we had our way, we'd have got him. He'd have got by the neighborhood.
Well, because even though technically Tupac wasn't a Piru, it happened under your watch.
Me personally, it didn't matter if he was a Piru at that point. You know, the man got killed and the homies was there, and Suge was the homie, and he was with Death Row. Now, I mean, the mob was Death Row, from the mob to Death Row. So, yeah, we didn't have a choice but to try to get, you know.
Correct. And I think that they had love for him. You know, I think they really respected him, and he was, you know, trying to represent, you know, and clearly, from a gang investigator's standpoint, he was an associate or an affiliate of the Mob Piru. And so there was a relationship. And so, yeah, they've got to retaliate so they don't look like, you know, a weak gang. And two, you know, they owe it to him.
Well, the way Mob James also explained it to me was that,
you know, a lot of people ask me, well, if y'all know Orlando did it, why y'all didn't get Orlando? Number one, Orlando didn't sit in one spot.
Right. Orlando knew that you guys know that he did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he didn't sit in one spot and sit on the corner and smoke weed and say, I'm waiting on these mob niggas to come to kill me.
Right.
No, he wasn't in his hood. He didn't hang out like that.
Can you talk about that whole situation afterwards?
Because he was cautious. He knew that people was going to, you know, kill him for that. And he was a gang member, so he probably had a problem with so many people, you know. When he got killed, somebody killed him.
Yeah, so they realize, you know, the Southside Crips and Orlando Anderson, Keefe D, they know that, hey, we just hit this dude in Las Vegas, and, you know, it's on. It's a green light. And so you hunker down and you get your guns and you anticipate that there's going to be drive-by shootings or confrontations, or you kind of check out for a bit. You know, if you have a place to hole up outside the city, then you do that. But at the same time, these guys are very self-assured and they believe in the strength of their gang, and they're violent and willing to take action. So, you know, it's part of that gang life, and they kind of embrace that. And so, you know, to be involved in these shootings and everything, it just builds up the whole, you know, it just builds up the whole respect and perception of your gang.
So according to you, Tupac gets killed by the Southside Crips.
He gets killed by Orlando Anderson, who's a member of the Southside Crips.
Exactly. Now, earlier you said that Puffy put out this claim of, you know, I'll pay $1 million if you get rid of Tupac and Suge. Tupac is now gone.
Right.
What happened in
He already was saying that.
terms of Keefe, Orlando, and Diddy at this point?
So immediately in the aftermath, you know, Diddy hears about the shooting, finds out that there's, you know, Tupac's been shot and is in the hospital in Las Vegas. And according to Keefe D, he gets a phone call. He's actually with Zip, the intermediary, and they're back in LA, and Zip takes a phone call, and it's Puffy on the other end of the line, hands the phone to Keefe D, and Puffy asks him, man, was that us? Was it, you know, what just happened out there?
See that?
Keefe D's like, yeah, that's us.
Okay. So then there's that $1 million.
So now there's this expectation of, the $1 million.
So what happens next?
So what happens next is, you know, Keefe D's already under a separate investigation for his ongoing drug trafficking. He never gets a chance to hook back up with Puffy until almost 6 months later, where he's over at the Peterson Auto Museum when Puffy's back out here with Biggie, and he walks up to him to have a conversation about it. Well, Puffy's aware that the FBI's been watching him out here in Los Angeles, and the last thing he wants to do is be directly associated with this guy that he's had this agreement with to commit a murder. So he tells Keefe D, no, man, now's not the time. We're good right now. And you got the I got the feds all over me, was his statement. Keefe D recognizes, okay, cool. It's probably not a good idea for us to be, associating in public together. There's a lot of heat on because of the Tupac investigation, both on the East Coast, West Coast, LA, Las Vegas. And so it's just good business not to be, seen in public with a guy that you've conspired to commit a murder with, especially when you know you're being watched by police.
Do they ever have a conversation together afterwards, Keefe and Puffy?
I don't believe so. No, after that night, Keefe ended up going to jail shortly thereafter, and Biggie gets killed that night, which exacerbates the whole problem because now you've got, you've just taken Tupac's murder from 6 months ago and brought everything back up to life and intensified it with Biggie's murder. So now
It's also important to point out that LAPD detective Greg Kading, during his investigation into the murders of Tupac and Biggie Smalls, uncovered information linking both cases, and Kading claims the police had evidence Diddy ordered both hits, which Keefe later confirmed.
Keefe D has now identified his own nephew as the murderer of Tupac Shakur.
Bolstering Keefe D's claim was an informant in 1997 who told investigators that Puffy had hired the Southside Crips to kill both Suge and Tupac, and that the Crip who was jumped at the MGM was in the group that had done the hit, and that they originally were going to do it at Suge's Vegas nightclub, but then decided to do it right away instead of waiting. This was exactly the same story that Keefe D told us a decade later.
No.
Detective Greg Carding in his 2011 book claims P. Diddy hired Crips member Dwayne Keith, Kef D. Davis to kill Tupac. But plans changed and Tupac was killed by Crips gang member Orlando, Baby Lane Anderson, and injuring Suge Knight. Detective Greg Carding came to the conclusion Puff Daddy put a $1 million hit on both Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight. Detective Carding claims that Biggie was not aware of Diddy's plans to kill both Shakur and Suge Knight, but Biggie then wife Faith Evans allegedly knew. Almost 27 years since his death, on July 17, 2023, Las Vegas police searched a Henderson, Nevada home as part of the ongoing Tupac Shakur homicide investigation. Ex-bodyguard Gene Deal accused Puff for causing Biggie's death. Also, 50 Cent allegedly claims Diddy was involved with the murder of rapper Notorious B.I.G. Who else's death do you think Diddy was involved in?
My entrepreneurs, all my hustlers, do not think that you're the only one that's having a hard time, okay? I'm having a hard time at my level. There's always different levels to it, and there's different levels to the hard time, but we all having a hard time achieving what we want to achieve. People in our rave, bureaucracy, red tape, hit that button, get to it, and get it done.
Take the first step with curated lists, modeled after some of the most iconic influencer
Yeah, that's crazy for me to hear that, man. Because I mean, if you saying that he told you that he'll take your life, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not far-fetched that he has something to do with Tupac, though. I mean, I don't know, man. That's crazy, man. What you think about that?
In my motherfucking eyes, I'm gonna keep it real with you, and I don't want to get no nigga indicted because I don't know shit. I really don't know shit, but I could talk, from a subjective level. I could speak from from the outside. I could talk. I'm gonna keep it real with you, gangster. I don't know how they gonna prove it. I doubt if they could be able to prove it, unless, and this is what I keep telling people. He didn't pay Cassie for what she knew. I mean, for what she said. He paid her for what she didn't say. Because if you already they say the lawsuit had already been out there. So she basically leaked. And that she leaked was horrible. So I guess that she didn't tell us was about. So imagine what that she held in was about. You get what I'm saying? Because she had to have some leverage after you done told everybody now, why would I pay you? if paying you. You get what I'm saying? Well, but
she didn't leak the other stuff that Lil Rod is saying. Because she didn't mention not one time nothing like that. I ain't gonna say, y'all know what I'm saying.
I paid you because I need you to shut up. Basically, you let a little air out the tire, but you let me know, bitch, I got the real information. Remember that night you said, oh yeah, because you see what he did with Lil Rod? He told Lil Rod, oh, I did it. I did this, I did that. So it ain't far-fetched for him to be done told Cassie way more than that. If that's the type of character you are. So you gotta understand, people who have never shot nobody, they gonna talk about shooting the same person every time.
He gonna say more to the chick than he say to Lil Rod. Niggas say more, niggas do more pillow talking to they chicks than they do, you know what I'm saying?
They get a chance. But a nigga who done shot a lot of people, you know, they gonna forget their situation. They gonna forget stuff. People gotta tell their story. Trust me. They gotta, you ain't gonna remember if it's what you do. You ain't gonna remember unless you sitting with the homies and y'all like, remember, you like, oh, I forgot about that. You know what I'm saying? But a nigga like him, so you know it gotta be true because this is what I be saying about the details and lies. Why would Lil Rod, a nigga who probably wasn't even number about 15 or 10 at the time, bring up that specific situation? Like, it had to be said to him. Why would you even care? Diddy done been through a lot of shit. Why would Lil Rod want to make that night up about him, saying that I did that? So if Lil Rod got that, I'm pretty sure that Cassie got, that's why the feds want him. Because she didn't get paid for what she knows. She got paid for what she didn't say.
And what did Little Rod say he said?
Lil Rod was just saying, he's saying like, he shot the bitch in the club or whatever. But everybody been, you know, that night, the bitch been saying she got shot. People keep talking about why they coming out now. Y'all never battled a billionaire.
Shine been saying, he ain't say Diddy did it, but he say, I've been keeping my innocence the whole time, saying I didn't do it. He never said Diddy did. He just kept on saying he didn't do it, and they still locked him up. He never took it and said I did it. He just said I didn't do it, and they just locked him up and put it on him and said he did it and locked him up. But he never said, oh, I didn't do it, Diddy did it. But he been telling him he didn't do it.
I had lawyers wouldn't even sue this nigga. Right now, statute of limitations, I can't even go back and get millions of dollars that they owed us that we could have sued them for. But no lawyer would take the case. I had one year lawyer, we sat on the phone, nigga sat down and heard my whole story. He said, man, he said, man, I ain't gonna lie, man, you got a good case, man. I'm pretty sure you'll win. But he was like, I can't do it, Fred. He was like, I know some bad boy lawyers. I live around this environment. He just explained. I'm like, why y'all so scared of this pussy? I know, Suge know, Jimmy know, he pussy. You know what I'm saying? He just got the money. He can control the environment.
The thing
I do recall in that lawsuit that Little Roy, he said that Diddy told him personally.
What it is, see, people will do stuff to you if they feel like y'all won't cross each other paths. You know what I'm saying? Like you won't be able to reach them. But if they know that y'all cross each other paths, or you work over here, and you see these people over here, or you go to this bar, or you go to these clubs, or you go to this office or this business, and you're gonna cross paths with these type of people, they don't be wanting that problems because they're reachable, they're touchable.
That he shot that female, not Shine. So you think it's possible that Diddy, he was pillow talking to Cassie about Tupac?
Yeah, drunk nights. She got all your secrets. That's your bitch. My bitch know every bitch know about everybody nigga, that I can remember. You hear me? So I'm pretty sure like it ain't that you. It's just that as a man, a nigga can be like, well, I don't do this I don't do crimes around females, but when you got a bitch, a wife or whatever, my nigga, you cry sometimes. You get what I'm saying? You go through like when you come from a life where your mama gone, your daddy gone. You know what I'm saying? You get older. I mean, just day by day getting older is scary. because you scared to lose your brothers now. You scared to lose this. You don't want to, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm like I am about my family, because it's like, nigga, I'd rather die before y'all. You ain't finna let no nigga take you from me and it go like that. And if it do, then, you know, I'd rather be crash out, but my peoples be, you know, be trying to keep me around.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point, man. If somebody was telling me that same thing some weeks ago, man, they was telling me that, you know, Diddy and Cassie, you know, they dated for a long time, and they was telling me like, yo, can you imagine all the pillow talking he did to her?
I'm pretty sure he probably let her know where the bodies are buried, where the bones buried. He probably done said a few times, yeah, probably cried to her a couple times, because that should be on your soul. You know, you cry about when you got bodies on you, you cry, bro. I don't give a what no nigga say. You might act hard around the crowd, but you know, especially when you get older, you go to think you got to answer the guard. You like you go, what the f was I was doing? Like,
yeah.
And then you try to right your wrongs, you know. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, you see him turning to Brother Love, try to right his wrongs shit like that, but it's too late, bro. Like, people get mad at why y'all trying to tell Black brother down. Ain't nobody trying to tear down LeBron. Ain't nobody trying to tear down. Motherfucker Lamar just won a MVP too, the second one. Ain't nobody came out and tried to tear him down. All these successful brothers, ain't nobody trying to tell Steph Curry down. Ain't nobody trying to tear down the person without a story. My thing is, it's like slavery. If it's your actions, how you offended that I'm telling what you did? I don't want to endure it. We endured it. It sounds harsh coming back out verbally, but it's your actions. So imagine how we felt when you physically extracted it on us. We just dealing with telling our story, and it sounds so harsh. It sounds like we trying to kill a legacy. We trying to, no, but I'm telling my story. I'm not making nothing. I can see about making something up and try to make them look bad. No, I'm actually telling you what happened. If it sounds harsh to you, then you can look at him how you want to. This is his actions. I'm not asking you to look at the man harsh. I'm not saying judge him. I'm just telling my truth. My truth offending you? My truth saying, no, I'm just telling my truth, bro.
Diddy and Tupac were the leaders of the East Coast and West Coast rap scenes in the 1990s. They had a bitter rivalry that escalated into violence and tragedy. The feud was rumored to be started when Tupac was shot and robbed at a New York studio in 1994. Tupac blamed Diddy and his friend Biggie for setting him up, which they denied. Tupac then signed with Suge Knight's Death Row Records, which was at war with Diddy's Bad Boy Records. The two rap camps exchanged diss tracks and insults, fueling the tension between their fans and associates. In 1996, Tupac released Hit 'Em Up, a vicious song that claimed he had slept with B.I.G.'s wife and threatened to kill Diddy and his crew. Diddy allegedly responded by hiring a Crips gang member named Keefe D to assassinate Tupac and Suge Knight. Keefe D confessed that he was in the car that shot Tupac in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996. Tupac died 6 days later from his wounds. Keefe D was arrested and charged with murder in 2023, nearly 27 years after the shooting. Diddy has always denied any involvement in the murder.
Billy's not just running a small goat grazing business, he's also the chief marketing officer. And when he needs to round up some new customers, Constant Contact makes it easy, helping him craft the perfect.
Jada Pinkett and Will Smith, you told me before that you was at a party before that they attended, and you said the party was weird. Tell me about that.
Okay, this is boxer. His name's Twan. He's from our neighborhood. He was married to Tanisha Arnold. So the broad played Pam on Martin Lawrence. We went to the party with her. I mean, it was a matter of fact, it was a set it off party. Vivica Fox, all of them was there. You know what I'm saying? It was just seemed like Puff and Tupac was like a couple, seemed like to me. It was just a lot of weird shit going on, you know what I'm saying? The vibes ain't there. I guess that's what Tupac was talking about, the Illuminati and shit. It's like Vivica Fox was with this big gay man. He was 6'9". They called him, his name 6'9". He had the red hair with big old booty and shit. No, he was gay and I'm over. What the fuck is going on here? It's just a lot of weird shit, dude. You know what I'm saying? Shit, it ain't right. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's what Tupac, I guess he wanted to get up out of the Illuminati or something. But I seen her there. Matter of fact, MC Lyte pulled off with Tanisha Arnold. You know what I'm saying? In her brand new 560. black one. Yeah, that shit weird, dude. Yeah, that's some weird ass shit going on, you know. Yeah.
And what was Tupac doing at the party, yo?
Him and Puff was there together. They was there, you know what I'm saying? That's why I don't know how they fucking fell out or nothing like that. They was road dogs, you know what I'm saying? They even got pictures of him. He got on that blue sweater with the turtleneck. Him and him hugged up like this with the black hat. Have you ever seen that picture?
No, I don't recall, but I'm pretty sure I came across it.
It's like it's coming out.
Yeah. That picture there, that they was at that.
We didn't know, but now it's like coming out that like this, like they trying to say like Puff Daddy shot Pac because Pac didn't want to sign to him.
The party that day. Yeah, it's just like a bunch of weird shit. That whole fucking that shit weird, dude. Yeah, bunch of it ain't right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not no gay basher or nothing. I mean, none of that shit, but that shit ain't right. You know what I'm saying? That whole party was weirdoed out. Yeah, and it was Jada Pickett. But
You saying the whole party was weird. What did you see at the party that made it weird? I mean, I'm confused.
I guess it was Illuminati. It's just weird. I know I wouldn't want to be part of no shit like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm from the old school, dude, and that shit wasn't really tolerated with my generation. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, hate crime, yes, but it's more tolerated these days and nothing like that. It's more, you know what I'm saying, more open now. You know what I'm saying? But back then it was kind of fishy. You know what I'm saying? Still kind of fishy. You know, but it's more, you know, out there now.
The incident y'all had with Warren G and Kid Frost. Tell me about that, my man.
Okay, Kid Frost had gave a party at the House of Blues. One of our big homeboys wanted to go with us. You know what I'm saying? So he went with us and he said, "Oh, you young niggas having fun." So one of Kid Frost homies still on my big homie. But he didn't know that he was around, it was maybe about 20 of us. So the dude that socked my big homie, we beat the dog shit out of him. So my big homie, he came too. He like, "That's the motherfucker." We like, "Yeah." And there was 2 security guards had him. Had the dude that we beat up from Kid Frost entourage. So my big homie knocked with the event security. They had to do, so my homie still knocking him out. Boom! So the dude with the yellow jacket was talking shit. "Man, what the fuck is wrong with him?" My homeboy knocked out him too. Bam! Like, woo! So the other one like, "Man, he got back." Little Jamaican dude come up talking shit. "Man, you going crazy?" My homeboy socked him too. So we went down to get our car for valet. And it was the dude, "It's LBC." And he like, "What the fuck is that?" And he said, "It's Long Beach City Crib." So my homeboy knew this dude was an imposter. If you from Long Beach, you're going to say Rolling 20s or Insane. You know what I'm saying? You're going to say, you know, real block boy. You know what I'm saying? 19th Street. You're going to say something. A real Crip. So this nigga say he's from Long Beach City Crib. My homeboy like, "Wait a minute." And knocked him out too. So Warren G and them was down there, him and Cedric Wallace waiting on their cars. And they seen my homeboy get busy like that. So they had left before us, went up to Fat Burgers. So we came, got in our shit. They finally brought our cars for valet. We went up to Fat Burgers. And Warren G and Cedric Wallace was up there already, you know, eating their shit and shit. So we came in there. The big homie like, "Hey, motherfucker." He pointed at Cedric Wallace like, "Man, you've been dumping us for years, mother. I'm losing all my motherfucking money betting on your motherfucking ass." So Warren G was right there. He like, my homie like, "Man, that's a nice ass watch." So he like, "Man, let me try that on." You know what I'm saying? So by then, my homeboy, somebody got my homeboy attention, and he turned his head. Shit, Cedric Sabalas and what's his name was in the he was in the Ragtop 500 Benz. This motherfucker like jumped off. I mean, he drove up off the motherfucker. He didn't even pay attention to the curve. He jumped off of the curve instead of using the the drive.
This shit ain't overnight, that's a whole lot of flips. This shit ain't overnight, took a whole lot of trips. This shit ain't overnight, gotta learn and get your grip. This shit ain't come overnight, it just look like this. This shit ain't overnight, been through so much shit in my life. The game colder than ice, that blade sharp, cut you like a knife. Always had my own low fame, let a nigga feed me with a slice. We was grinding all night just to make them turnovers precise. I had to sacrifice, I had to cut some ties, minimize. I had to realize, I use my real eyes, see through the lies. Club going live, strange guys, say FBI. Notify the guys, I swear they had the nerve, think I was high. This shit ain't overnight, that's a whole lot of flips. This shit ain't overnight, took a whole lot of trips. This shit ain't overnight, gotta learn and get your grip. This shit ain't come overnight, it just look like this. Blood, sweat, and tears, I lost peers to face my fears. Learn to protect my grip, living on the edge so many years. When you living life in a fast lane, gotta know when to shift the gears. Gotta decode everything I hear in my ears, so severe. This shit ain't overnight, that's a whole lot of flips. This shit ain't overnight, took a whole lot of trips. This shit ain't overnight, gotta learn and get your grip. This shit ain't come overnight, it just look like this.